So I'm going to tell a story of two transformations. One is a communications guy in the Air Force, how we view conflict in the world today, and then the transformation that Senator Arellano kind of talked about how America sees its veterans. After Vietnam, when we held our views of the conflict against those who served, we started that baseline transformation. But if you go back to the embassy takeover in 1979 or the Beirut Marine Barracks bombings in '83, how we consumed the news was maybe it was Walter Cronkite on the nightly news when we were given just the facts, or maybe just the facts that the government determined, or you waited till the next morning and it was in print. But that certainly changed during my lifetime. It was January of '91 on a January long weekend in the 99's restaurant, and CNN breaks out with the start of the Gulf War. Live bombardment, reports straight out of nation cities. And, as good military members, we hugged as many friends and said our goodbyes and headed to base, expecting the gates to be locked and orders to come. At that point, that was the first time we'd really seen live combat action on our screens in our homes. And it changed us a little bit at that point. Well, for me, we got back to base, and there was the bus at the officers' club for our ski trip. No locked gates, no new orders, so off we went to Canada. Well, every generation knows there's usually just one major war per generation, and the Gulf War was quick. And we kind of joked in the months afterwards that none of us would ever be able to run for president. We'd never be able to escape. What did you do on that January night? I went skiing in Canada. Not going to work in this nation. Well, as we continue to go, I was in communications and was executive director and chose Wellfleet over Cisco. It was a much better router. Little did I understand what branding and marketing could do to a market. And had I known what those routers were going to do to change the world, that was at the start of transformation in technology and communications that changed not only America, but the world in how we viewed things. 95 car bomb at OPM sang in Riyadh, 96 Khobar Towers. While no live video of that, it was certainly on the news in minutes and talked about for a while. The embassy bombings in '98 in Kenya and Tanzania had live video, not of the event, but shortly thereafter. By 2001, I'm in Command and General Staff College, and it's the Air Force afternoon school. We wouldn't want to mess with the morning Gulf round, so I'm watching TV waiting for class. CNN breaks on as a plane has hit the towers in New York. It just looks like a news story. As that second plane hit the other tower, in my gut, I had that same reaction I had back in '91. Get packed up, get to base, things are changing, right? The Pentagon gets hit, a plane goes down in Butler. On national news, in everyone's home. We are consuming world news at a different pace. But post 9/11, that transformation of how we dealt with our veterans was in full swing. We were honoring and supporting them regardless of our view of the conflict. No conflict, no war will ever have 100% support of the American citizens. And because of that, we treat our veterans differently today in a transformed manner. We support them while maybe not supporting the conflict. And I certainly saw that after 9/11 in 2002. I was in Kyrgyzstan. I was on the ground in Bagram, Afghanistan, where every step in combat boots looked like the Apollo mission on the moon. The dust so fine it would just poof up and slowly settle down. We were supporting special ops fighting on horseback. That was different. 2003, I took a solo flight in a C-130 as the only passenger into Iraq. We opened the first air base in enemy territory in over 5 decades. And at that time, prior to that, I was taught how to run an entire airbase on a 128 kilobit satellite link. Within weeks in Iraq, I had an 8 megabit Earth terminal. It wasn't just the news that was changing how it viewed war, the military was itself. By the time I spent a year in Iraq in 06 and 07, 10 minutes from launch to impact of neighboring ballistic missiles, we lived in Mortaritaville. We took rocket and mortar attacks every day for a year. That Memorial Day in 2007 was sitting atop the wing headquarters with solemn cigars, no whiskey, no beer, no barbecue, but reminiscing the names of those who had fallen. F-16 pilots that we knew, members in the truck outside of our compound that took a rocket to the truck, members who were living in that hospital, one of the largest medical facilities in a combat zone, losing limbs due to EFPs or explosively formed projectiles milled in a neighboring country and smuggled in. We had one of the largest burn pits that burned everything, medical waste, body parts. And by then, it had become so routine that it was on the news that it needed a large-scale issue to happen if it was going to be broadcast. But still, America had transformed. Regardless of how long that war went on, when soldiers and airmen came home, America has welcomed them. And even today, that's the transformation that I, as an American, am so proud to have experienced in my life. Yes, I saw the technology transformation. We've all lived it. It changes how we viscerally react to conflict around the world. But in that time, we also changed as a nation, transformatively changing our relationship with our veterans. So on this day, if you haven't already had the chance to show reverence and honor to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, I ask that you give it some thought today, but in a positive way that America has transformed in how we look and treat our veterans. And that's what I'm probably most proud of as an American and a former veteran. God bless.